All right, my friends, thank you for joining me again on this Wednesday night. With us tonight, we have Peter Levshin, who's giggling at me over there on the side. I can see him doing that. Peter Levshin is a great friend of mine and a world traveler, and he is a better photographer than I will ever let him know that I believe.
Hey.
My name is Troy Miller, and I am going to be your host tonight. I will be casual conversation with Peter. I'm also the founder and the organizer of F64 Live. I see some names in here. You guys know that that's an event that we try to do every year on September 12th and 13th of this year. You know, the virus, God's willing, we'll be able to have that live. Otherwise, we're going to be doing some virtual stuff. You can check that out at f64live.com. We'll have some information in the next coming weeks. Right now, it's pretty vacant there. Peter Levshin, master photographer, PPA master photographer, world traveler, you know, sexy man extraordinaire. How are you doing tonight?
Yeah, good. Thank you, Troy.
Did you have a question?
No, I could ask my own questions in the chat at the bottom if I wanted to. I'm just checking to make sure that's doable.
Yeah, you can ask your own questions.
That's the nicest thing. In fact, that's the nicest thing you've ever said to me. I mean, man,
that's how I introduce you.
You don't know
everybody.
something that I don't, do you? Like, am I sick or something that I don't know about? Anyway, continue on.
So in your world travels, you've been a lot of places, right? Like, I know you've been to Bhutan. I know you've been to Papua New Guinea, Singapore, China. You're from Australia originally. Mm-hmm. What are some of the other countries that you've been
to? Pretty much through most places through Europe. Nothing in South America. And you know what? And I don't know why. It's just seems to be, since living in Los Angeles, Mexico and south of the border seems to be like an afterthought, and we'll get there someday. But so maybe next year we're going to maybe head down south somewhere, down to Patagonia, down to Brazil, maybe down to, you know, Ecuador, Puerto Rico, take pictures of little animals and whatever. But I tend to travel to the places where it's different, exotic, and different lifestyle, different people, and things that normally most people don't see. So all the way through Asia, a lot of places, Indonesia, Cambodia, Thailand, Borneo, up and down, all over. And, you know, it's just getting harder to travel to those countries now because of the restrictions and so on, but everything will get lifted and things will come back to normal and things will be good again.
Right. So in your travels, do you have a favorite spot, a favorite place that if you said, hey, I'm going to get on a plane, I'm going to go back, I want to go back and photograph again?
Yeah.
Where would that be?
You know, it's like asking the question, if you've got kids, which one's your favorite kid? It's really difficult. It's always the one that gives you the least grief and the nicest one to you at that particular time. Every country that we go to and the food is great and the people are fantastic, you go, this place is fantastic, I'd love to come back. Vietnam is like that. Singapore, definitely. Indonesia, definitely. Bali, Bhutan, Burma. I mean, all those places, the people are so friendly and warm and genuine, and it just makes you want to come back because they make you feel good that you're there spending money, having a good time, and you don't feel that they're just there to rip you off and sell you crap, you know.
Right. Now,
which does happen, but anyway.
Now, as pervasive of a photographer as you are, and as many images as you create a year, you kind of have a day job, right?
Yeah.
Well, okay.
Yeah.
But yeah. You know, my lead into this is it's being creative as well. So tell us a little bit about what you do on your day to day and about what ICLA is. I mean, I know, but I'd like you to share that.
ICLA is we're a design company and printer, publisher, and packaging company, and we do high-end limited edition musical clients like Paul McCartney, Rolling Stones. We do stuff. We're doing work on stuff now for George Harrison, on and on. And what our expertise brings to the table is many, many years of expertise on packaging, design, printing, and logistics of putting things together. The Michael Jackson limited edition box set that we did has LED lights on it that light up when the music is played. And, you know, it took us 1.5 years to create and sold out instantly. Fantastic product.
So you work in an industry that's very creative as well, and
yeah,
that's kind of that was kind of my lead in, is that, you know, creativity is kind of always there, and you are creative, and you know, anybody who's gone and shot with you and photographed with you, and I know Brad Toms is in the chat. Peter's insane. I don't see, the thing is like the rest of us, when we want to take a photograph, we push down on the button. When Peter wants to go somewhere else, he lets go of the button. Anytime he walks into a new area, it's like, come on, Peter, we got to go. Wait. And he's very
well. Look,
he's a ferocious photographer.
Well, look, this space is cheap and free. It's not like the film days in the old days. And plus, I'm looking for the nuance, you know, where the fingers, you know, leaning on an artifact, or they're touching each other, or people are looking at each other in the eyes, or there's a bird flying, or whatever. And then you just have to get that special little moment to make it absolutely worth. Like the cormorant fishing picture that I absolutely love. The bird's got his wings out and he's drying. And there's only one picture out of probably 400 that they're doing that. So I figure it's so expensive to get to these destinations. Let her rip. I mean, I'm not doing it, you know, like that machine gun thing that you keep making fun of me on. But, you know, you've got to get lots of pictures. You got to let lots of pictures.
Now, you know, Peter and I are really good friends, so I can pick on him pretty hard. But I try to tell him, you know, it's about timing, and I think this is an interesting lesson for all of us, is that, you know, when you're out photographing, that you have to try to experience that space in the way that best suits your photographic ability. I am a lot more intentional. I like to walk around. I like to take my time. I like to find my spot. I don't like to shoot with tripods. I'm not that intentional. Peter, on the other hand, if you take your eyes off him, he's gone. He's already photographed like 10 of the things. And if I go tell him, like, hey, Peter, do you see this cool rock over here? You already got that. And he's gone. And
so you're the only one that I've been shooting with that gave me a tracking device, because you wanted to know where I was, so you could call me every freaking 5 minutes and say, where are you at? Because I don't know if you were hoping that I didn't fall down the rock and die and you have to go fish my butt out of there, or you wanted to know if there was anything good that I was shooting.
I gave you a microphone, so I gave you a walkie-talkie, so we could talk.
That was good.
Yeah.
Now, look, my goal is not, I mean, I set very, very strict standards on my shooting. And my goal is never, under any circumstances, to take more than 100,000 photos on a trip.
Yeah.
And I stick to it. I stick to it. I mean, it's not easy.
Yep. Yeah. I will say, and I know I've said this to you, Peter, but I will say, it's encouraging for me as somebody who, as a working professional who's saturated in photography all the time, to see the enthusiasm that you have, Peter, when you go out and you photograph and you get so excited to go shoot. It's fun to go shoot that way. And I just want to encourage everybody that's maybe like in a funk right now, or you haven't been out shooting in a while, like this guy right here, for several months, like get out and shoot, go create something, because creativity is a fuel. So,
and you know, look, being stuck at home and all the rest of it. And when you had that thing with Frederick, the TWIP guys, it was great to actually go shoot something in infrared in the stairwell and take some photos of some leftover bits of food and everything and turn it into a piece of artwork. Because you're right. I mean, if you don't enjoy taking photos and you're stuck and you're not creative, go out. I mean, I try to take photos every day. Every day I'm walking down to the beach, I'm taking pictures, and you've got to do it. If you don't love it, go do something else. I mean, sit at home.
Get off the channel. Get out of here.
Go drink beer and watch Netflix and forget it.
Well, do that anyway. That's not bad. You can do that anyway. Get a good scotch or whiskey. So let's jump into this.
Yep.
A lot of the images that we're gonna look at today really have a lot to do with the children and the kids that you've encountered. And what I want to do is I'm going to start off with a video. And this is going to be the one. Let's see, which one is this? This is with the girls on the side of the road.
Okay.
I'd like you.
So let me just preface it. Sorry, Troy, for jumping on you. It's every trip for the last 10 years, We take things like little notebooks, little dolls, and pens, papers. We used to take sugar-free candy, but they'd eat it before you shoot them, and they'd have blue tongues and blue lips and everything, and you go, that didn't work. But these kids who have nothing, they have absolutely nothing. Most of them don't have electricity. Some do. They don't have TV. They don't have anything. And they're very, very happy, and they're grateful to get anything, absolutely anything from, you know, a couple of white guys from the US. Anyway.
Perfect. Well, we're going to get to see some of that. So here is the first video.
Okay, these are the.
So this video runs for 4 minutes. We're not going to play the whole video, and I can jump ahead a little bit, but just tell us a little bit, like what's the story behind
these
this?
are schoolgirls coming out of school on the way home on the side of the road. We arranged to meet them and give them some gifts. And before we gave them the little gifts that we had for them, they had to answer questions about, you know, who's the president of Indonesia and who's this and who's that. So rather than give it to them for free, and then probably 5 minutes of doing this, we had maybe a crowd of 30, 40 kids, and we gave. And these kids are the fortunate kids that actually go to school, because probably less than half go to school.
Really.
Mm-hmm.
I just find it really amazing, and it's really kind of beautiful that, you know, these are kids in another world, half a world away from us, that are probably living in poverty, right? Like, or some level of that.
Yeah.
And yet they're kids, you know, they got the pink backpack, and they're giggling and they're smiling and doing that. So
their parents would probably be living on maybe $50 a month, that kind of thing. And, you know, nobody ever gives them anything for free. So it was fun. They're answering questions now, and they're getting it right. So he's giving them pens, papers. And the thing that's interesting is that the dolls with the blonde hair are the things that they wanted the most, because they don't see those. It's kind of funny.
I'm gonna jump ahead a little bit. So you're still hanging out with them. So are these guys that are with you here, are they part of the tour group? Or
yeah, I mean, that's Ravindra there. He's the tour guide. And then we've got translator, driver, and a little bit of security just in case.
Perfect.
Not that it's dangerous. That gentleman right there, he's probably the best infrared Sony shooter in the whole of Indonesia.
Oh, is that the guy that you went out and that shot infrared with you? That was the guy?
Yeah, it's Harlem Lim.
Harlem.
Harlem. Yeah, Harlim, and then Lim, Lim. And the next video,
we're not going to go to that one yet.
Oh, sorry.
You can't give that away. So that little stop right there, that was just something that you guys do to what? Just kind of have a good time, to give back to the community?
Yeah. Look, instead of just being an obnoxious, big, fat, white American tourist with an Australian accent traveling around the countryside, you know, we wanted to give back to the people. We actually donated to the Forest Association in Sumba. We gave them quite a good donation for cleaning up the beaches and making sure that all the plastic and diapers and everything come out of the ocean. Mm-hmm. So, you know, we want to do what we can as we travel to help them and educate them, because you'll see some pictures as we go through this, that the environment is not that important to them. It's all considered to be part of their landscape. So they will throw trash everywhere. And the people that live in the mountains throw the trash into the river. It goes down the river and ends up in the ocean. And everybody throws their crap in the water, and it goes all the way down the ocean. So they do everything in the river. They wash their clothes, they go to the bathroom, they clean their teeth, everything. And it all goes downstream. And once it's gone, it's gone. They don't care. It's somebody else's problem. So we were trying to help them and educate them. Prime example, this picture. Okay, the guy's taking his rooster out there and he's going to sit there, let it eat. These people spent a ton of time and pride in painting this entire village that was a slum, these beautiful, beautiful bright colors. But all the trash comes down the mountain, down the river, and it's all there on the ground. So instead of picking it up and then disposing of it properly, they push it all back into the river, and it all goes down to the next person, to the next village, next person down the river. And
So
it doesn't seem to bother them.
So all that trash that we see there, or let's just say a portion of that trash, was brought there by the river when the river rose.
Yes.
And it just deposited there, and they just left it there. Wow.
So they wait. What they do is they wait for the rain, or they wait for the river to swell, and then they push it all back into the river, and it all goes down the road. It all goes down and ends up in the ocean. Very sad. It's an educational thing. So this is upriver. These people in a village up near the highlands, they're washing their clothes, they'd be brushing their teeth, they're doing all, they use it as their bathroom, and it all goes down the river. You can trash stick, there's sorts of stuff. Why don't they clean it up? And they just don't understand the concept of, because they've been doing it like this for a long time. So there's got to be some government education to educate these people that they need to look after their environment instead of pushing it down the river.
So now in this type of situation, so you see this everywhere. I'm assuming like in the areas where you're going. But in these areas that we might look at and say, well, okay, that's ugly, or that's not beautiful. Then you have the people, and they are wonderful. Right? Like, tell me a little bit about the people that live in this place, and like, tell me about this young gentleman.
This young guy is probably about 9. It's in Papua, the western side of Papua New Guinea. This is the Indonesian side. Not too many tourists go to because it's kind of rough. Now, the thing that's interesting, these young kids, they look like their heads look like fully grown adults. And it's the weirdest thing. They're fully developed and grown. They don't look like kids. When you look at them and just take pictures of their head, they look like a standalone adult. But they are the nicest, easygoing people. This young man, I saw him a couple of times. He followed us around. He was carrying equipment for us just for fun. And, he smokes cigarettes and he drinks sort of homemade something and chews tobacco. And he's 9. He's 9. I mean, but that's how they live.
Wow.
And he's got, and that's a trio of them.
Is that him? That's him on the left, right?
Yeah, it's him on the left. And that's the girls. That's how the girls get around. They have bite marks and scratches and all sorts of infections on them. And it's funny because they don't like posing for the camera. And, see in his mouth, you can see the cheeks are kind of puffy because he's got a whole bunch of tobacco and stuff in his, and the girl in the middle, she's got blue eyes, which is kind of weird, but they're kind of religious. On top of the mountain, they are the nicest people. I mean, they're just wonderful, warm, fun. And even though you can't speak the language, you can still have fun. I take some little tricks along and show them tricks, and we do some stuff, and they all laugh and carry on, and we goof around, and it's just a lot of fun.
So let's talk a little bit about gear. When you're out photographing, something like this. Now, I know that this is not a color image converted to, sepia tone or black and white. I know this is an infrared image, right?
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about your gear. I'll highlight a couple other images as you're doing that.
Okay.
But what did you, first of all, just being, traveling that far away, I'm sure you have some restrictions. So talk a little bit about what that is, and what did you take? What was in your kit with you?
Yeah. The biggest drama always is just the plane trips. Okay. Getting your camera equipment and carrying it on board as carry-on, and disguising it so it doesn't look like you're carrying a 25, 30-pound bag. And I know that John's listening to this and he only takes a couple of cameras, but I typically take 4 or 5 cameras, bodies, 2 infrareds, 2, 3 colors, and multiple lenses just in case, and, little Lume Cubes and so on, just in case, just to have the right equipment. Like I said, the problem is carrying it on board because the limits are now 7 kilos, 14 pounds. But if you look like you're not struggling, you can sneak it on board and away you go. So getting to that other picture, that was a young guy and he's just playing with the rocks. This picture is in Indonesia, Sumba, and this fisherman was teaching his son how to fish, and the crabs and the fish and everything is what he caught lying on the ground there. We were doing star trails, Milky Way shots before these
from
guys.
that location?
Yeah, I mean, he goes out with his son at 3 o'clock in the morning. They go out every day, catch some fish and bits and pieces and take it to the market, local market, and sell it. His son does not want to do it, and he's telling his son that he has to do it. The son would rather sit at home and play with, I don't know, with Game Boy or TikTok or whatever that crap.
Whatever he has access to.
Yeah.
So
this is a dying art for these guys.
So you do get to know a little bit about the community when you're there, which is very cool. So does that?
Well, we'd like to. Yeah, we like to, because we don't want to just. Yeah, because we look rather than just jumping in and snapping some snaps and then leaving. We like to spend a little bit of time, talk to the people, have some tea with them, have something to eat, hang out, talk to them, see how their lives are, what do they do, and then just follow them around a little bit and just take some pictures and just talk to them. And typically we send them pictures at the end, copies, prints, whatever. But to be a little bit more respectful to the people that we take pictures from, as opposed to being just another tourist taking pictures and then running away and just abusing them.
Right. So let's talk a little bit about this image right here. What lens is this? What camera body?
This is wide angle. Yeah, infrared, wide angle, A7R4, and it's probably the 16, 24, 1224. Okay, it's 1224. It's probably at about, I don't know, 13, 14 millimeters or 12 to get the wide angle.
Okay. All right. Very cool.
And the fish that they catch and the little crabs is what you see in the front there. It's not a lot, and that's probably 3-4 hours worth of work. And then they take it down and they sell it, and they probably get about maybe $1 or 50 cents worth. But they do it every day. They do it every day. That's what they do. He walks. He doesn't have a car. Now, the thing that I enjoy is that kids around the planet know how to have fun. Adults, on the other hand, turn into pains in the ass and all the rest of it and don't know how to have fun. These guys have nothing, have absolutely nothing in the highlands. She's made a hat out of some paper, stuck it on her head, and that's his pet rooster. They play with the pet rooster on the rock, in the water. The pet rooster needs a bath. I didn't know that pet roosters needed bath, but whatever. If the rooster steps out of line, they chop its head off and they eat it. End of story. Life goes on. But they make do. They make do with what they have. Most of the time, they're having fun. They're really good. They enjoy themselves. Yeah.
Wow. Now, tell me about this one. Like, how did this come about? Are those bubbles that you guys brought them?
Yeah, we brought the bubble machine. Oh, well, not a bubble machine, just the detergent thing and the little spatula thing. And we said, take your time, enjoy yourself. In half an hour, it was all gone. There was like 20 kids. We gave it to 2 of them. They got completely out of control. And anyway, but hey, they're kids. Whatever. They're having fun.
Oh yeah, this is the next one in that series. That looks fun.
Yeah. So we brought some of those things along, bought it locally, took it up to the village. They haven't seen white people up there for, I don't know, years. So they're kind of more freaked out about some old white people coming taking photos of them.
So going out into the world like that, what kind of things do you have to prepare for going into another country? Because are there vaccinations, visas? I'm sure. Can just anybody go out into that area, or do you have to have a guide?
No. Look, it comes down to this: the better the imagery and the most unusual imagery always relates to making it a hard trip. And what a hard trip means is that you need to have a guide, you need a translator, you need to have special visas, special permits, vaccinations, possibly. Most places you need those. But all in all, you need to have cash, and you need to keep your wits above board, because things can go wrong. Things change. The weather changes. We had too much lightning on the last trip and we had to move around to go to different places, too much rain, all sorts of other things. They have to be flexible, but the exotic, good quality imagery that you want is always difficult to go and do. I mean, it's just not easy. And you never expect it. I mean, there's things that go wrong and there's things that go right, and you go, wow, that's great.
So you have a guide, you have an interpreter, you have somebody who knows the local culture. So is this so for somebody who would be looking to go in there, and which is interesting because you as you know, I do pottery in the group that I hang out with. They travel the world all the time, and they're always talking about which tour company they went with or which guide that they would recommend if you're going to go to this country or that country. And I thought that was interesting because being somebody, you know, I'm not a world traveler, like, you know, that I just find it really interesting. Like, it's good to know that, oh, and when John Powers did his presentation, I know that he talked about how, you know, you got to have somebody local, right? But
well, the bottom line is, before I forget my answer to that question, is that never do a tour with non-photographers, because you will hate everybody and they will hate you after the first day. And it's happened to me in Europe. I'm always the last one on the bus, the first one off to take pictures. They're all waiting for me to get back on. Son of a bitch, how many pictures do you want? You've had 20 pictures of the Colosseum. How many do you need? On and on. You do a tour with a select group of people.
Peter, the photographers you hang out with say that.
What?
The photographer.
Okay, disregard the photographers that I hang out that say that. No. But look, if you're with photographers and you're sitting there and you go, okay, Brad, how many more pictures you need? He goes, well, I'll probably need another 200. Yeah, we're cool. That's fine. I'll have another beer and another drink. There's no hurry.
Right.
There's no hurry. We don't. If you want to stay here longer, we stay here longer. Not a problem.
Plus, there's the camaraderie of being able to say, oh my God, look at that sunset. And everybody walks away from what they're doing and things like that.
And the biggest problem traveling with other photographers is that you find out how much you suck, because then you see what they got and you're on the same trip. And that happened on my last trip. I'm not going to mention any names. All of a sudden, he comes back through the shrubbery and I look at what his pictures are and I went, you got to be kidding me. Where was that? Why didn't you call me? Troy would have called me. You didn't call me? I mean, God. But that happens. And you can have 5, 6 photographers all taking pictures of the same area, same stuff, and everybody comes back with different things. And it's fun. It's fun. It's fun. That's really fun.
Right. So what's the scariest situation that you've ever found yourself in while trying to get a shot?
On the side of a volcano up in Indonesia again. All of a sudden, and when you live in California, you get used to those little rumbles and the earthquake thing going on. All of a sudden, I'm thinking, geez, maybe I shouldn't have drank those 5 Red Bulls. I'm feeling a little bit shaky. All of a sudden, the ground starts moving. It starts to rumble a little bit, and then you start hearing some noise and some hissing noise and stuff, and then a whole bunch of clouds of sulfur and steam and gas start coming out. Luckily, it wasn't real big. It was a small one, and all the locals just start laughing. But you read horror stories about the people who all got killed in New Zealand, and they were probably thinking the same thing, hanging out on this island, it's pretty cool. And then all of a sudden they all get vaporized. So that would suck. Yeah, that would suck. Yeah.
Oh man.
Especially hopefully if I got the best picture of my life and then you get burnt to death. Yeah.
Well, see, that's why you should, when you do your shoot for the day, then you should be uploading all of your files to the cloud, so that if you get struck under an eruption, we'll have all your photos up to that point.
Yeah. Okay, I've got 4 terabytes of photos on a trip. Even my internet here doesn't work that good for that.
So I'm assuming that you have a plethora of SD cards and you have a good backup system of said cards. Have you ever lost a card? Have you lost camera equipment? Have you had stuff stolen? Anything bad?
No, never stolen. And on this last trip, it's because I'm getting old and feeble and senile, but I'm not wearing diapers yet, but it's probably next year, I think, I misplaced and lost a card with infrared pictures on it of a funeral procession and a whole bunch of stuff. And I think what happened, I put it in my pocket and didn't put it in the right pocket. And as I was pulling out the little cloth to wipe all, the moisture, because it was starting to rain a little bit, I dropped it on the ground. So what I've done now, and I've been very meticulous with it, I've labeled every SD card I have. I've made slots for them in multiple little carry units. So once the SD card is being used and it's finished, it's going to go into a slot and it's going to be put away and it's going to be kept. I've got 4 terabytes of SD cards, and there's no excuse for being slack and lazy, except when you're traveling a lot and there's a lot of time zones, and we would get up at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, shoot all day, have a little sleep in the car, shoot at night. After you're doing that for 2 weeks, you know, your brain starts to go a little bit soft and crappy, and you don't remember stuff. Yeah.
Do you know anybody who's ever lost any data, any cards?
Yeah. Me and my other buddy, he had some magnificent waterfall shots, just absolutely gorgeous, magnificent. Probably the best photography I've ever seen in my life. I mean, he's a fantastic photographer, but he lost his card too. And then he tried to blame me for it and all the rest of it, but it doesn't matter. And the only other time was when I was in Australia and I was using that new Peak Design travel tripod, and the tripod was on a cliff and I'm taking pictures, and I didn't realize that it was aerodynamically designed to take off and think it can fly. Went off the cliff with the camera and a 24 mm 1.4 lens, beautiful lens. 25 feet down, crashed on the rocks. Camera was mangled. The lens seems to be okay, just a few scars. And that's the first time I've ever killed a camera in 30 years.
Well, that's so in that situation, you had, if I understood the story, you have a camera set up running, you know, like a time lapse or something like that.
Yep.
Yeah. And then you were walking around shooting. So lesson learned, right? Weight that sucker down, especially when you're on a cliff near the ocean.
Yeah.
We're gonna get into some more of the photos here in a little bit, but why infrared? Why do you? I mean, and I'm kind of with you there, but why infrared? What do you love about it so much?
Okay. What I love about it was this guy that I used to know, who's really sweet guy, lovely, lovely man, turned into a big, I can't say the word, but you know what it is. And he shows me this picture of this magnificent, you know, mountains and the moon, and it looks superb. And he says, oh, this is a handheld shot. And I'm looking at it, my brain's ticking over. This is probably 15 years ago or whatever. And then he tells me it's infrared. So I've shot infrared in the old days with film. Misery, can't focus. It's just a drama from beginning to end. So he says, well, you need to buy a Sony, turn it into infrared. I still have that camera to this day. I actually sold it to him and he sold it back to me. The camera is magnificent. What I do love is the textures, the trees, where the trees, nature, everything turns out. The blacks look great, the whites look great. But shooting people, it turns all their skin milky whites, all the blemishes leave and everything. The only downside is if they're young people, you can see all the veins in their legs and arms, which the Asian people, it's kind of strange because you think they're wearing stockings and everything, but they turn out to be their veins. But it makes people look just fabulous, just absolutely fabulous. Anyway.
Yes, infrared for me, because it's a different wavelength of light, and it's actually an invisible light form that we don't get to see, and it strikes our subjects different, and that's why I like it. But I know that when you go on these trips, that you're shooting a lot of stuff infrared. Now, normally you'd walk up on a scene like this, and you know you would say to yourself, like, well, there's a lot of colors in there, but you're choosing to shoot this infrared. So tell me one about this particular shot, how this came to be, and how would it have looked in color? Would you have liked it in color?
I have it in color, but it's just too distracting. There's too many things going on because there's a temple behind. They're wearing bright clothes. Your eye looks at it and it just buzzes around because they're dark skinned to start with, and the rocks and everything else is just distracting. So what this guy was doing was having a small class lesson. He was actually taking these young kids from the village around the temples and showing them the temple, showing them the carvings. And he's got that little stick thing there, and he's pointing things out to why the rocks are carved a certain way, why they put things here and there. And we just asked him, could we just take a photo? And then he got totally animated, and he's sitting there, he's pointing, and he starts hitting the kid, and it's like, oh my God. And those glasses that kid in the middle are wearing or he's wearing, they actually belong to the teacher. So the teacher thought, hey, this will look great if I gave it to the kid. And it's like, oh my. Anyway, they were a lot of fun. They were very, very cool. And, you know, middle of the day, bright sunlight, with the regular color, it's misery. So we shoot from 10 o'clock in the day till about 4 o'clock in the afternoon in infrared because of the harshness and what you want. And then all the other hours of the day, you shoot color. So you're shooting 24 hours a day, basically.
Yeah, and I believe it. I know you shoot that much. You know, my standard is that if color isn't adding to the image,
yes,
then you can make it black and white. And being black and white, and we have this conversation a lot with Frederick on the image critiques on This Week in Photo, is whether or not a particular image should be black and white or not. So, you know, if we took an image like this, if it was black and white, we wouldn't see the red and the green and the blue, and then we would brighten the faces, and those would really stand out.
Yeah.
But in this situation, it's just showing us sort of what's around there. The image with all the trash in the houses, you couldn't do that in black and white. It would fall away, right? So we need that color.
Yeah. I mean, I have infrared pictures of this, but you can't tell. It just looks like just different shades of something. So the whole purpose of this village, which is now a tourist destination, which actually was a slum. It's like the favelas in, you know, South America. The people wanted to have some pride of where they lived, and there's some magnificent artwork around this whole, you know, encampment. And what I regret is that I should have bought a drone and taken drone pictures of that, because, you know, that person that I was traveling with, he's got a drone and he took some magnificent pictures of that.
Somebody I know did try to convince you to take along a drone, but you didn't listen.
No, that's true. That's true. I'm old. Yeah, I know. I'm old. I didn't listen. And he also got magnificent drone pictures of, you know, rice paddies and everything. And I think he offered it to me, but I can't remember. But, you know, if you want something different, and especially this aspect of this stuff, get off the ground, get up and have a look around, because the aerial view of this is spectacular. Spectacular.
So there's a couple of the images that you sent over. I really love them. And like this,
so this is in Papua, and they're doing a mock fight. I'm sitting on the ground, and these guys are running around, and their spears are real spears. They're real heavy. They're real pointy. And then after I watched the video that one of the other guys took, I thought, wow, if one of those guys tripped over and stabbed me with that thing, I'd be on the highlands and probably bleed to death, and then they'd probably barbecue and eat me, you know, the week later.
So those are their real hunting weapons.
And they're heavy. The guy on the right, the older guy, that spear probably weighs about 25, 30 pounds. It's made out of really hard wood. And the young guy doesn't have a spear on the end. Thank God for that, a pointy thing. Because if he does fall over, he's not going to kill me as much as the other guy. And they had a great time. It's only been 20 years that these villages haven't gone down. And, you know, we went into one of the huts. We saw some skulls, and because they're headhunters. And I'm looking at it, and I said, how long ago did you guys stop? And they said, oh, a long time ago. And they said 20 years ago. And I thought, 20 years ago, that's like, you know, 2000. Yeah. And what would happen is somebody would either attack a girl or steal a pig or whatever. Then they would go to the next village and kill somebody, because that's what you do. So they're not allowed to do that anymore.
So when you're, you know, getting ready to take a shot like this, are you showing them the photos after? Like, because maybe they're not used to photography, right? So are you taking photos and then showing them, and does that help them be more comfortable with what you're doing? Because you have some shots in here.
No, you show them the pictures and they totally freak out. They freak out. Yeah, not all of them. The kids laugh. Now, these guys are all having fun until we got there. And the head chief said, all sit next to this tree. The tree's probably, I don't know, 1,000 years old. And they do classes and they teach there. And the guy, and this is the head chief of the village. And he starts like yelling at him and talking to him and pointing out things. And the dog's sitting there just relaxing. But they're kind of unhappy because they're thinking, what did we do wrong? Why do we have to sit here? Because we were having a good time playing, and the old chief's yelling at us. So it was kind of funny, their expressions.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's them.
And
Again.
the girl there, she is so funny. I tried to get her to smile. I gave her some candy at the end and this and that, and she had that look of, I don't know who the hell you are, but I'm not smiling at you ever. But when you
The
look at
girl
the
on the far
boys,
left.
yeah. Oh no, not in the far left, in the middle there. She's looking straight at the camera.
Oh, okay. I
And
see
she
her.
followed us around, and she had this scowl on her face for like 4 or 5 hours. But you can see the faces and the heads of the young boys. They look like mature adults, and it is the strangest thing. And they're all short. They're all very, very short, but they're tough. These guys can climb up and down trees. The headhunter there. Okay, there she is again on the left. She's like,
Oh yeah, the girl on the
yeah, I'm
left.
not smiling. I don't care what you do. I'm not smiling. And you can see all the rashes. That's the best look she's got for smiling. Anyway, it's funny. And they have rashes all over them. They have all sorts of, not diseases, but infections and cutting, bleeding and scarring. But they live. I mean, that's how they live. They go to bed when it's dark. They wake up when it's light. They alcohol's completely banned in this whole town because, they get drunk and start killing everybody.
They have sharp sticks.
Very sharp sticks.
Yeah. So tell me about this shot. I mean, this feels like a portrait that you may have set up, but I don't know. So tell me how this comes to be.
We're taking pictures outside, and this is the wife of the chief, and that's his new son. The chief's got 4 wives, and she's like 20, and because they were doing some sort of celebration, they put all that bird feet prints and everything on it and everything, and she was standing inside because it was too hot outside. She's just standing there, and we had our gear inside because it started raining. So we just, grabbed a couple of quick grab shots while,
So this is all available light.
Yeah, available light. It's all window light.
Okay. Yeah, it seems to me like a lot of these images are all available light. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is important.
And they're just so nice. And so the influence in Papua of the missionaries. So the missionaries got in there in the 1930s, and they went in to save everybody. So a lot of these people are Christians, and because Indonesia's Muslim, there's some tension. And this girl was just there, just sitting there, and just the funny thing about the cross, they have cross, necklaces and bracelets and stuff like that. And the church put a 250-foot cross in the bottom of downtown in this village, and you can see it for miles and miles.
Wow.
And it's like, oh, okay. So he's probably 5, and you look at his face, he looks like he's 50.
Wow. Wow. That's great. So this is infrared again, I'm assuming, right? Because you don't convert your colors to black and white. I don't think. I don't know, but I don't know that I've ever seen you do that. So.
No, I don't know how to do it. I got to ask you to do it for me.
What's your editing process look like?
Okay, editing used to go into Lightroom and edit it. Now everything goes into Capture One. And Capture One is magnificent. Like you keep saying, using Capture One is like using a scalpel versus a butter knife in Lightroom. And I never believed that because I spent, when you're as old as me, learning new stuff, I'm not a big fan of it because it's just too difficult, right? That's why I don't upgrade anything and do anything, because I don't want to learn anything. I'm done. I'm old.
Oh,
so anyway,
God,
Capture One is magnificent.
We need to highlight that a little bit.
Oh.
Because when he says he doesn't want to upgrade, he's serious. Like if there's an update on his phone, no, he's not. No. Break stuff.
Okay, I updated the phone like you told me to, and the delete button is now moved to the other side. And I'm like, why did you move the delete button? Sorry, let me get back in focus. Okay.
I want to share another video. We don't care about your non-updating. Nobody cares. Okay. We're just going to move.
No,
on.
But like Jim Doyle is in the group, and he's vintage like me, old fart. I mean, just ask Jim. I hate upgrading. And look, if it's something really good and you go, yippee, I did it because I love it. But moving all the buttons around just because you can.
Okay, moving on.
So next video.
That was your rant.
Yeah, Next video is in the top of an extremely remote village on the way down to this waterfall, and this is where I nearly died of heat stroke. These guys haven't seen any
Hello.
white people.
Angry Bird, Yokohama.
Yeah.
Morning.
And they're wearing
TikTok.
clothes that have been donated
Everybody's here.
to them by
Little
the
villages
church
on
charity.
the side of the road.
Oh,
here.
okay. And
We're
what are
in,
those buildings in the back? Are
Sumba,
those
That's where they
their
live.
homes?
and,
That's where they live.
These little guys are just standing there. They haven't seen any tourists for a long time.
And is
We're
that?
actually
I
gonna
noticed they
give
have like
these
those
little
water
guys,
jugs and.
They've got water, and also
some
that's how
pens,
the little
papers,
girl with the yellow cap.
pencils,
That's
and stuff.
gasoline for motorcycles.
As soon
That's
as we're in, we can
gas,
find the
and
crate.
that's how you buy it. You
wow.
buy gas by the bottle
Ooh,
to put it into your tank. So we started off giving these guys some stuff, and then all of a sudden, 20 other kids come running out of the countryside, but they're
Found it?
so laid back
You
and
gonna give it all
nice
to
and
him?
happy.
All?
Now, where is this at?
All?
This is on the island of Sumba, and it's
Okay.
in
Just
the
in case we leave a bunch of kids on the way.
remotest place. The way the trees and stuff are. I mean, this place is so hard to get to. It took
beautiful.
5-6 hours on the bounciest road I've ever been in, and then I got heat stroke after. It's 105, 110 degrees, and so hot. I mean, it's lesson learned.
Do you have any
Next
dollars
time
left for the girl?
to take, lots of dehydration, anti-dehydration, take water, take all sorts of stuff to, avoid that.
Right.
So
Now, I
these,
noticed that the gentleman. Well, you can't see him right now. If you go back here, the guy back there in the green cloth,
Yep.
right? He's
Yep.
got a knife in his belt. Now, is he a native? Is he a local?
yeah, he's a local. He's a
Okay.
local. All the locals, the men all have knives because some of the pigs get wild
people are
and
coming up.
attack
More kids,
them, so
more
they've got to be
kids.
careful.
Okay. Or is it like I don't know? So if you were to walk away from the group and go down
Is
the
it
street maybe a
outskirts
mile
village?
and photograph,
Yeah.
are you safe?
You know what? That's a good
Yeah.
question.
Yeah.
You probably are, because they're not going to do anything to somebody that they know that you're not a local, and there would be major consequences for these guys if something happened to, a
Wow.
big fat American tourist coming out. They would.
So here comes the
they would
rest
be
of the
in trouble.
kids.
Yeah.
Okay.
They would be in trouble. I mean, they
No
would
dolls left?
look at you use sense and not go off the trail or do things that endanger you or somebody else. You just got to make sure that you don't fall down a cliff. You can get hurt. I mean, this place is
Don't be
there's no
scared.
railings,
Don't
there's no nothing at the waterfalls and the cliffs, and we slipped and
Thank you very much.
fell
Thank you.
a whole bunch of times on that thing. It was terrible.
Welcome.
Oh, jeez. I just love how kids are kids, no matter
Verinder, no
no
dolls.
matter where they are.
Verinder, no
They're all
dolls left?
stunned because they're all
No
looking
dolls?
at it and they're like,
Oh,
we've never seen anything like that. They're just
Got it, really.
pens and that. And then this little lady comes up and started selling a little basket that she made. So we bought it, and the basket was 5 cents. 5 cents. I couldn't believe it. I go, yeah, I'll take that. I mean, I felt bad. I mean, like, I'll give you $5. Yeah, that looks nice. It's handmade. No, it's like 5 cents. That's what it is.
That's great. What did you shoot that video with?
That's with the Osmo Pocket.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that thing's amazing.
Yeah,
that thing is.
And like when I normally travel, and the guys that go along take some videos and fun. And on my last trip, my drone buddy, he was in charge of taking video, and he just forgot. He didn't take any. And then I forgot and didn't take any. So nothing happened. We have the first day where we're having margaritas and drinking and going, that airline, that first travel sucked. And that was the last video. It was over.
So
Anyway.
I want to jump into some of these images, and then we'll wrap up with some more photos of the kids that you can kind of talk about. Like these are some more gifts that you had given. I'm assuming.
And the kids are so happy. I mean, they just they wouldn't get anything. They haven't seen anything, and it's like, wow, what happened? Why are we getting this? Yeah.
Right. So.
Okay, this shot. Okay.
Yeah, no helmet. I mean, like Dad gets
no. This makes sense when they explain it to you. Okay, so the young girl and the wife are expendable. The husband is the breadwinner, so he has to wear the helmet, because if he falls off, the whole family is doomed, because he has to stay in good condition. So he's the one that has the helmet. The other two occupants need to hang on and make sure they don't fall off.
Oh my gosh.
And that's how it goes. There's no helmet rule at all there, and they're trying to implement it. Again, like this guy's riding along, and these kids learn how to hang on and don't fall off. They know. He's taking these kids to school.
Oh, geez.
And I can't tell you, and these guys are having fun. They're crazy. And that's a motion blur with a dog and 4 kids on it. And they rode by a couple of times.
I know there's a dog on there.
Yeah, there's a dog on the front.
Oh.
And I said, look, come back and do it again. And we put up a little strobe, a little speed light to try and capture. It is so difficult painting. And I don't know who in the audience has done a lot of painting, but I can tell you, it is not easy. I mean, if it's racing car painting and all the rest of it, and you've got control and you know where the cars are always going, then you can do it. But just random stuff like this on the side of the road is just really difficult.
Well, anyway. Because you had them come back, so you had a little bit of time to set up.
So they went up.
Tell us what the setup of this looks like. Like, you're going to do this shot.
Yeah, they went
with
by
helmets in the U.S., right? Okay, you're going to be safe. You're not going to go duplicate this with kids on a motorcycle.
Well, one of my goals is that mostly you see 5-6 people on a motorbike and in the city, because that's how they get around. So for years I've been trying to do the panning and, drag the shutter speed, have manual focus, have the right lens, blur the background, on and on and on. And occasionally out of 100 shots, you get something that looks, it's a little bit sharp. All you want is one thing to be sharp and I'm happy. But right. You see this all the time, and it's just, this is better than walking 20, 30 miles. So yeah, get on the bike and have no helmet and off you go. And I don't know, the dog was going somewhere with these guys and off they went. They went down the road, turned around, come back and then passed, and that was it. Yeah, well, what do you say?
In control. Yeah.
The dogs,
I love how they're waving.
Yeah, they're waving as they go by.
They're waving.
It was crazy.
This, I'm going to assume that if you've traveled to these countries that you've probably seen this before, because I've seen so many of your photos that have these. Yep. And I think you recently entered one in competition.
Yeah.
You probably got robbed on that one. I'm gonna say.
No, it's fine.
Well, we got a couple more images that I want to go through, and you can just tell us a little bit about those.
Okay, this is a waterfall, and this is where the honeymooners go, and blah blah blah. And these 2 guys are sitting there, and they're playing with their pet rooster. So that's what you do when your pets are roosters. Okay, dogs are too expensive. Cats they don't have because they kind of eat them. So end of the day, you take what you hang out with, and what you hang out with is a rooster. So it looks like it's trained. It looks like it's happy. They're sitting there, and I don't know. It's just, I grabbed the shot okay, so this shot, these young guys, little guy on the left's pouting, but the guy in the background, because this is a tourist place, he rearranges all the rocks at the bottom of the fountain in a heart shape. So that
at the bottom of the waterfall?
Yep, every day. Every day he goes there and he rearranges the rocks because they move around. It's a big waterfall. Yeah, so people at the top of the waterfall can take pictures of this as the background and a heart-shaped big pond at the bottom with rocks.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, well, hey, a job's a job.
I guess. Like, does he get tips for doing that?
Yeah, he probably makes really good money. He makes probably about $3 a day.
Oh my gosh.
And
I love this. This is one of those kind of shots that if I seen this in competition, that I would want it to, I would want to score this really high, right? Like I would look at it in detail, which I can't do here.
Yeah.
But I love the nuances of the little girl with her foot. And so to me, this speaks to the idea that even though we're taking things photojournalistically, you can still capture that right moment. And
this picture doesn't look that good.
Keep the photo out of the 500 you shot of the right moment.
This doesn't look that good on the screen here, but on the actual shot, it's really good. And this young girl on the left is deaf and dumb, and she was carrying water and moving it around. And the other girl was supposed to help her, and the other girl's like, "Nah, what? I'll hold it for you, and I'll do some dancing, and I'm not going to carry it. You're carrying it." So typical kids. Typical kids.
Oh my gosh. This one, this is, and to be fair, I've seen a lot of your photographs. Okay. This is certainly one of my favorite, and it speaks to the idea that it's simplicity. There's not a lot of other distractions in there. There's just this kid that was told to stand out there and hold a lantern. I don't know this story.
Well, no. Okay, so the story behind this is his dad is standing behind me, and they've got nets, and they go out on this peninsula, and they go out at it. It's actually a lot darker than it looks. And what they do is they go crabbing, and they catch crabs. So he goes out there, and they start at probably, I don't know, 8 o'clock at night, and they come back about 1 or 2 in the morning. The kid doesn't go to school. That's all they do is they go out and catch crabs and then sell the crabs down at the market. And he's just like standing there, and he's going, what? You're taking my photo? Why? And it's super hot. It is so hot. It's probably 95 plus. Humidity is 100% plus. And, that's all they do. That's all they know. They, go crabbing, go fishing, storm coming in, whatever. They walk out this peninsula. They all know how to swim, and they catch and harvest what's local. What's local.
Wow. We got one more shot out of the collection.
Yeah, okay, that's my fault. I've made him stand next to the tree on the way out.
Well, fair enough. I mean, if you can get him to stand next to the tree, you get him to stand next to the tree. And as much as I love the human element in this, that tree is one sexy tree.
Oh, those trees are insane. They're so hard to get to. And you saw all the pictures I got of the trees. But, I thought, okay, he's walking out there. We followed him out, walked out. I go, hey, stand next to the tree. And it's like, oh, yeah, it's kind of sucky. Whatever.
Yeah, I know that you planned this tree trip for a very long time. I know that for
6
a couple of years. Yeah,
six years. Okay.
But you shared it with me for 2 years at least that we talked about it.
Well, because it was touch and go. We had to get special permits to go in. And we didn't know if the trees are going to still be there because of the typhoons that they get through Asia. They wash them out. And these are mangrove trees. They're maybe 200, 300 years old. And the trees that look similar to these about 100 miles away are all gone. The photographers went there to take pictures of them. They go there and there's just rocks and sand. And it's like, that sucked. Took us all that time to get there.
Yeah. I mean, there is something to be said, for the tourism level of impact, right? In those areas. And I wonder, for the sake of preserving certain areas, how to manage that, because the locals want you to come there because you guys bring money. Yeah, and they need that income, and it's a lot more than what they might earn otherwise. Like the guy rearranging rocks in the river may make more money than if he was out crabbing. You guys, you and photographers that travel like that, we want to go see these unique places. Yeah. How do we find that balance? How do we do it right?
You know what? That's a great question. Great question. And it is difficult because some of the European photographers and European travelers are not as caring, I think, for the locals as what we are, because they're just more in there like, too bad. They're just peasants living in a third world country. I don't give a crap, and just go in and trample all over them. And I'm not saying this as an overall of German and French, but they tend to have some of the worst habits when they're traveling. And I hope I don't get any hate mail from the German and the French. But what we did in this particular location where the trees are, is that this is the place that we made a real big donation. We all chipped in, and they filled up probably about 200 big trash bags full of plastic diapers and everything else. Then they had a little get together on the beach, and I said a couple of words through the thing and then encouraged them. And subsequently, I sent them some more money this year. They sent me some photos of how clean the beach looked. So they're encouraged because they've got like a little, no, it's not even a restaurant. It's kind of like a little shack. And they've got a little propane kind of thing there where they do little snacky foods and some drinks and stuff. So probably in 10 years' time, there'll be a fence around it, and they'll charge admission, and Disney will have the concession for it.
But do the locals, though? I mean, do they understand the natural resource and the beauty that they have there, or do they simply look at that as a commodity that I'll protect it because then tourists will come?
Yeah.
Or do they just...
They now are looking at that, protect it because the tourists will come and will make some money. In the past, it all blurred into, well, this is where I live and this is what we do and this is how we live and eat and make money, and I'll live here and I'll die here and I'll never see a city and blah, blah, blah. That's how they live. But now they're looking at it and saying, hey, you know what? If people like to come and take pictures of our trees, then, you know, maybe we can set up and start selling some stuff and maybe a T-shirt or this or that. I mean, whatever.
Right.
But again, the fine line of, you know, having, you know, busloads of Chinese tourists turn up and trampling the place, they're not good at it. And that happens in Cambodia. Go to Angkor Wat and they get, you know, 15 million tourists. They can only handle probably 2. But the government goes, well, 5 is better than 2 and 15 is better than 5. And they've trampled the place to death. The place is actually sinking and wearing out. And John, who's probably watching on Powers, you know, there's places where they're building hotels one after the other because there's no constraint about looking after the natural resources for down the road for the other generations. It's a here and now thing. They want it done now, make the money now, have fun, build hotels, more the merrier. I mean, just max it out. And you know,
it makes me, and I'm not the guy to start it, but it makes me think about when we used to go dirt bike riding a lot in Glamis. There was this idea that we were ruining the environment. There was the milk veg plant out there that we needed to protect it, and there were these areas. So what we did, and maybe if this group doesn't exist, or maybe this group should exist, but what we did is we organized and we all pitched in and we bought checkered flags. And basically what we did is we made a statement to the community and to the local and to the ASA, which is American Sand Association, and the conservationists that said, look, if you see this flag, that means that we're responsible. We're picking up our trash. We're here to make this place last. Nice. And that would be something that photographers, maybe that's something that we should think about, you know, somebody putting together so that you wear a badge or a pin or something to say like, look, yes, I'm here, but I really care about this place. I want to document the beauty, but I'm going to step over the flower to get to the beach and not just trample it. And that might go a long way for us in conservation, because we need that.
The Surf Riders Association around the world does a great job of that with the ocean and trying to clean the ocean and on. But I have a lot of hope and faith in the younger people, and I say younger, under people under 30, because I think the young people, when you talk to them, can actually recognize and see what you're talking about. Because some of the young people were so enthusiastic about getting stuff off the beach and putting it in the bags, and they're going, well, that's a great idea to clean the place up. The old people, you know, maybe they're too old, you can't change them, you know, like me with the upgrade crap.
You can change. No, I tease you. But you adopt technology really, really well. You're very excited about new things. You're not really good at things that have buttons and software.
No. Hey, I'll change if it helps me. I'm not going to change if it gives me a monstrous headache and I've got to fix it. And then the shame of it, calling you at 10 o'clock at night and say, Troy, I can't work this. Can you help me? And then you do a team viewer share and you go, you got to push this button, and then you click off.
It's okay.
I hate that.
It's okay.
Like an idiot. Okay. Anyway.
All right. Good. I've got 2 questions I want to wrap up. We're nearing the end of our hour, or just a little over our hour, which is fine.
Thank God.
For travel.
Yes.
Whether you're traveling out of the country or whether you're traveling locally and you're going to go photograph, what would be a couple tips that you could offer to somebody that says, hey, this is really important. Take this into consideration. Travel tips as a photographer.
Yeah. Travel tips as a photographer is, and you've heard this from Troy many times, know your gear, know how it works. Never, ever buy a new camera or something new and take it on a trip and think you're going to read the manual on the way and learn it. It doesn't work. Okay. You'll die. It's not good. It never works. I've done it twice. It never works.
That is so funny.
Anyway, buy something duty free and you think, oh, I bought a camera on, but no, it doesn't work. Just pack as light as you can, be as comfortable as you can, wear great shoes, great comfortable clothes, lightweight stuff if you're going for a longer trip where you can wash and clean and whatever. The Papua trip, I didn't shower for a week because they all smelt so much worse than I did. It didn't matter. But if you're going with other people, be respectful of, you know, how you smell and all the rest of it. But just make sure you take enough equipment and some backup for what you do. And I know that John does this. If one of his cameras breaks or whatever, he just says, hey, that's no big deal. I'm going to go back there again. So if you've got the luxury and the time to travel a lot of places over and over, then you're good. Just take one camera and a couple of lenses and you're good to go. But if you're going to somewhere where it's hard and all the rest of it, just try and pack as lightly as you possibly can. Brad and I had a problem with that because we took everything just in case, but we used everything, used absolutely everything.
Yeah.
But again, just be comfortable and just be respectful of all the people. If they don't want their photo taken, just move away and say sorry or whatever. But don't think that just because, you know, you live in the US, that you have the right to trample all of over them and just take their photo and move on. You're an ambassador for the other photographers that are going to come behind you. And if you treat them well and you're a good guy and all the rest of it, they will be happy for the next guys that come along. And hopefully, I think, you know, most of the photographers are very, very respectful and have a good time and just be nice and enjoy yourself. Eat the local food, have fun. Yeah.
Good words. Good words, my friend. Good words. So my last question is: do you have what's your next destination? Do you have a trip planned? Assuming that you can get there eventually, but what's your next destination?
Next destination, probably South America somewhere, or there's a couple of hilltop tribe people in Borneo that we're talking to Rarindra about going to see, and they issue one permit every 3 years, and he knows the guy that issues the permits, and he wants to know if we're going to go. Okay, so that's probably a couple of years because it's going to be difficult. Yes.
Peter has mentioned many times, is a good friend of Peter's. He's also an artist at packartist.com. You can go see his work. A lot of his work is the kids playing with the elephants and things like that. But he also does workshops. So he's kind of a tour guide. Really isn't a fair word. But he's an experienced guide. He takes you out, and he knows the locals and kind of helps so
when we go out with him, he's like he's a fellow photographer that speaks Indonesian. He has 5 million followers, I think, on 500px. He's got, I don't know, 10, 20,000 Instagram people. And what's nice about him is that he knows how to talk to the locals, and he knows how to deal with the lighting conditions, and having local knowledge of where you're going is the key, especially when you're going to one of these really long destinations. You can go there 3-4 times and then shoot completely the wrong stuff. And then all of a sudden you go with the right guy, and it's, 3 miles on the other side of the hill is the best photography you've ever seen in your life, and you've been missing it. So I would encourage it.
Well, thank you, Peter. I appreciate you spending time with me.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you to all of our friends that came to hang out. A lot of this information, I'll put Rarendra's social media links in there. I'll put Peter's social media links in there. I'll put a link of some of Peter's favorite equipment, where we've got the infrared cameras converted, just to kind of give you all the techie stuff about how this works. This video is going to be hosted on YouTube, so it'll be on f64live.com with the rest of them. And that's fantastic. Everybody have an amazing rest of your week whenever you're watching this, and we will catch you.
And I hope I didn't bore everybody to death. Get out and take pictures. Thanks, Troy.
Get out and take pictures. Be a good human.
Yeah, perfect.